Now we'll talk about the religious policy of Akbar. Okay, Akbar, as you all know, he was a tolerant to other religion, and he constructed a prayer hall called as Ibadat Khana. So Ibadat Khana is a prayer hall constructed by Akbar in a place called as Fatehpur Sikri. Okay, so here in Fatehpur Sikri, the religious head, that means the various religious head of the Islamic group used to come here, and they discuss on the various religious issues. Okay, so even Akbar used to invite the Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, Parsis and Christian leaders to the discussion. Okay, and in such discussion evolved a new sect, a new group called as a Din-e-Ilahi. So what is Din-e-Ilahi? It's a religion, it's a new sect evolved from the discussion from the various religious leaders. Okay, so Din-e-Ilahi was introduced, and this Din-e-Ilahi incorporated, that means it included all the best principles of the different religion. Okay, so this is about the religious policy. Akbar established Ibadat Khana, that is a prayer hall at Fatehpur Sikri. Here the leaders from the various sect used to assemble here, and they used to discuss on the various religious issues. Okay, and it was in such discussion evolved a new sect. It is called as a Din-e-Ilahi. So it incorporated, it means it included the best principles of the different religion. But however, this religion could not attract many. It could attract only a handful of followers. Akbar patronized literature and art. Patronized means he supported even the literature and art. It is said that there were 9 jewels, that means Navaratnas, in his court. And those 9 intelligent people in the court of Akbar are called as the Navaratnas, 9 jewels. And noted intelligent people in his court were Faizi, Abdul Fazil, Tansin, Birbal, Raja Todarmal. So like this, there were 9 intelligent people in his kingdom, and they are known as the 9 jewels are Navaratnas. Okay, so Akbar's contribution to architecture and also is also remarkable. Okay, it is said that his outstanding example of architecture during Akbar rule was his capital that was built at Fatehpur Sikri. Okay, the Fatehpur Sikri, the capital that was he built, was one of the best example to show his architectural skill. Okay, and then after him, it is said that Jahangir and Shah Jahan ascended the throne, and they continued the policies of Akbar by Akbar. And after him, the Shah Jahan achieved a great fame because of his Taj Mahal, okay, which was built at Agra. And also he reached its fame reached because of his mammoth red fort that was built at Delhi. Today we'll do about Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb, third son of Shah Jahan, and is the last well-known Mughal emperor. He ruled for about 50 years. And it is said that during this period, the empire expanded in all the direction. He had campaigned in all the part of India. But at the same time, it declined very fastly also. Okay. And coming to about his character, it is said that he is an authoritative ruler. Okay. Even though he is a highly capable warrior, his cruelty and his religious policy, that is, you know that Akbar had liberal religious policies. That means he had a very good relation with the Rajputs. He had removed the taxation, everything, in order to keep the trust of the Hindus. But Aurangzeb's cruelty and discriminatory policies are the one of the reasons for him to make the Marathas, Jat, Sikhs and the Rajputs to rebel against him. Okay, and even though he was able to defeat all these rebellions, that is Marathas, Jats, Sikhs. Okay, this campaign, this war led to the result of the exhaustion in the Mughal treasury, and also a great loss to the Aurangzeb's army. And to know more about Aurangzeb, it is said that he is an Orthodox Muslim. That means he stayed away from drinking, wine, gambling, entertainment, and music. And he followed the rituals, that is fasting and prayer, very strictly. Now let us know about the various policies that was adopted by Aurangzeb, which led to the decline of his power in India. Okay, firstly we'll know about the Rajput policy. As you all know that Akbar, in order to preserve the trust of the Hindus in India and in order to establish the vast empire in India, he had employed the Hindus in the higher post. Okay, and this he had done in order to know that he cannot alienate them if he has to remain in power. Okay, and he had maintained a very good relation with them. But Aurangzeb tried to annex their kingdom of the Rajputs and waged several wars against them. So as a result, what happened? Aurangzeb lost his loyalty and support of the Rajputs, and he also lost the money, time, and many of his generals. So this is one of the reasons for him to Rajput policy. This is also one of the reasons for him to lose his power in India. I think you all understood. Akbar was very liberal with the Hindus. That is, in order to keep the trust of the Hindus, he had relaxed some of the policies. But Aurangzeb, he reimposed them. Okay, he imposed the jizya and all those things. At the same time, he waged a war against them. As a result, he lost the trust of them, and he also lost the support of the Rajputs, and he also lost money, time, and many of his general also. So this is the first policy which led him to bring down. Okay, and next one, second one, religious policies. As I told that he is a very orthodoxy, and in this the relationship between the Sikhs and the Mughals strained during this period. Okay, and he had imposed several religious policies, and the 10th Guru of Sikh, that is Guru Tegh Bahadur. Okay, he revolted against this religious policy of religious policy of Aurangzeb, and he also protested against it and also encouraged the Kashmiri Brahmins to revolt against this policy. As a result of this, he was arrested and brought to Delhi, and he was executed. Okay, and this enraged the Sikhs. Okay, and Sikhs were converted into the army now. Okay, this provoked them to rebel against the Aurangzeb. So the execution of the 9th Guru by Aurangzeb made the peacekeeping people, that is peacekeeping Sikh, to take up arms. Later on, the 10th Guru, that is Guru Gobind Singh, he will organize the Sikhs into a militant. That means he will make them to take up the arms, and they form a group called as Khalsa. Okay, and they were known as Khalsa. And afterwards, there is a fierce battle take places between the Khalsa and the Mughals. So this is also one of the policy for the Aurangzeb to lose his confidence and decline the power in India. Okay, and with this, after the death of Aurangzeb, it is said that the Sikhs were able to establish the state of their own. Okay, now we'll see about his Deccan policy. Okay, Aurangzeb, it is said that out of his 50 years of rule, beginning he spent his time in the northern part of India, and later on the other half of the year he spent in the Deccan. Okay, and during this period, it is said that taking advantages of these, Marathas in the Deccan had become a powerful rulers. You know that, under the leadership of Shivaji. Okay, so now the last half of his power he had to spend in the south in suppressing these Marathas, and he will lead several revolt, and this revolt continued for a long period, and as a result, Aurangzeb lost enormous wealth, a large part of his army, and also all his prestige. And many provinces of the empire also became free. Okay, so this Deccan policy, that is to suppress the Marathas and also to control some of the South Indian kingdom in the last half of his period, also led him to lose his power, and thus Deccan policy wrapped Aurangzeb's economic sources, and also led to the decline of the Mughal power in India. Okay.